Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto is your host. Thank you so kind of for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. My God, what a newsy day. What a newsy day. You know, we know that it turns out that the right wing is going berserk. They're listening to what Donald Trump is saying on Truth Central, and they got ahead of the DOJ. Well, not the DOJ, the special counsel in announcing what were the charges against Donald Trump. And, you know, they made it seem like, oh, my God, Donald Trump is being attacked by he's completely being attacked by the DOJ. He's completely being attacked by the Biden administration. It turns out to be so far removed from the truth. Let me tell you, I looked at the document. I reviewed the document. I scanned over the document. Let me be honest about that. I scanned over the document. And the little that I scanned, madre mia, por favor, it turns out that Donald Trump is in trouble. But not only is Donald Trump in trouble, Donald Trump isn't all that smart. Donald Trump is a child in a grown-up body. We had a child. Running this country, which means everything that occurred was likely the result of the handlers that were taking care of Donald Trump. When you look at this guy and how this guy played around with the papers, I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, would he have sold some of the stuff? Of course he would. But madre mia, the way he acted like a child. Hey, check this out. Hey, the military gave me this. Oh, guess what? Ha ha ha. I don't think I can declassify it, but because I'm no longer my God. And you know what? They have it on tape. All these behaviors they have on tape. I want to see now that Jack Smith has released the indictment. Let's see all these clowns that call themselves Republican politicians. Let's see how they can defend that. They always talk about national security and doing things right, and they wanted to accuse Hillary Clinton of having, classified data. Nothing like this. Madre mia. Anyway, welcome aboard, Eric Hayes. Welcome aboard, Breeze MCP. Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Of course, Breeze MCP is from New York. How is the fog and the health in how's the atmosphere? How is the weather? How is the smokiness in there? But anyhow, let us know. Let's see what else we got here. We also have in-house El Senor Michael Rudnin. How are you doing? Air quality 20 today. Oh, that's actually excellent, right? That is way under the 400 that it was a few days ago. So I guess it's improving. The wind has blown a lot of stuff at sea, I imagine. Anyhow, let's go ahead and start reading some of this stuff before I present to you Jack Smith, because I want everybody to see Brother Jack Smith in action. But anyhow. Oh, the first person to have a paragraph is Eric Hayes, that I haven't read it, but I'm going to read it aloud until it doesn't make any sense. But it says, fossils used for a great cause, scholarships to help people that need the money. Free money like this everywhere. You have to do some work to apply. This and Pell Grants in college, lowering the costs and government regulations on lenders is the answer, not having trillions more debt dumped on them. Lee College in Baytown, Texas has received a substantial gift from the estate of the late John P. and Charlotte Henderson. The Hendersons, who were longtime supporters of the college, bequeathed 10,000 shares of ExxonMobil stock, which was sold for approximately $900,000. Their gift is the largest estate donation in the institution's $89 history. The Lee College Scholarship Committee recently voted to use the money to establish a Henderson Family Trust, which will create over 20 scholarships annually. Now, what am I supposed to do about that? Am I supposed to feel happy that a private company decided to donate to a public school, or I don't know if it's a public school or not, but decided to donate to a school after the decades that they've accumulated on Exxon stocks, which has probably given cancer and other diseases to a lot of those people in that neighborhood who likely spent more than $900,000 in the sicknesses and the illnesses that they received. Not to speak about all the unrealized gains in their wages that they didn't get. You know, when I am tired of hearing about philanthropic people who give after they become rich on however they become rich, they donate money as if, pat me on the back. I did a great thing. I gave to the university. Let me tell you something. If you want to really impress me, what I would like you to do is say, let's create a more egalitarian society. Let's do something really that helps society at large. Not that I will undemocratically decide I am going to give it to that college in Baytown. Well, what happened to that college in Kemah? What happens to that college in Galveston? What happens to that college in Maynard, New York? What happens to that little college elsewhere? It looks great. I donated to a college. No, pay your damn taxes so that everybody who wants to go to any college can be taken care of because that's an investment in that person. It is very shallow thinking when you listen to these people who donate. You know, there's this black guy who donated a lot of money to pay, I think, for 400 medical school scholarships. That's a lot of money he gave. But how much money how was he able to get a return of 15% all of the times on his investments? One, first, he gets great goodwill by buying 400 doctors. But secondly, he's one of those guys who invest in real estate where they are doing what? Gentrifying many of those communities for those low income students he paid for. So at one hand, he's educating 400 doctors. On the other hand, he's displacing millions of people with gentrification in their neighborhoods. Again, we only look at what the philanthropical folks do and we try to make it seem benevolent. But let's get real, folks. If these philanthropist people, what do you call them, philanthropers? If they want to do something good, let's do something real good. Put your money in a pot. All that excess money you got from work people's backs, do something with it. Then we can start talking about how good a person you are. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's see who else we got here. But he says Simon's Foundation announcing $500 million historic gift to the. I give the same. Look at that. Let me put that on the screen. Look. They're happy. They're giving away a lot of money. Great, $500 million to the Stony Brook University endowment. Great thing, but how did they get that money? I don't know. But all I know is I don't want to be dependent on rich people having the wherewithal to donate their money for something. I want to have an egalitarian society where everybody has free access to success, independent of a rich person undemocratically saying, I'm going to choose you, but to hell with you. Okay? Let's look things the way they really are, people. But he says, don't start comparing Trump with Biden and Pence. They both turn it over like others did, not 18 months. Again, anybody who tries to compare the two, it shows a limited and shallow thinking process. It shows that your mind is easily co-opted by those who would like to fool you, because these things are nowhere similar. You can't find Obama, Biden, even Pence saying, "Hey, come and take a look at this. This is a map of Croatia. No, this is a map of what's the name of the place where we're This is a map of Ukraine that a war is going to occur at. And check it out. I had the Defense Department fix this up for us. It's kind of classified, Ha 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 ha. Hey, John, can I declassify this? No, you're not president anymore. Oh, I guess I can't declassify it now because, hey, I'm not the president anymore. None of them did that. That you can't see that whomever is defending Trump, that they cannot see what Trump did, put the country, that he's a clear and present danger to this country, and that he puts the country in danger by giving out these kinds of information. then I really have to say your thinking process is suspect. All right. What else we got here? Michael Ryan said, this is going to be a press play trial. Trump has incriminated himself so often in a brazen pattern of lawlessness that won't fly in court. And you're absolutely right. Breach says to Eric, wrong again. Of course. All right, God. Let's see. Typical error in Brooklyn is around 10. So yeah, back to normal for now. Melanie Keelan, welcome aboard. Michael Ryan says to Eric Hayes, you love when billionaires do philanthropy in order to get tax write-offs. I'd rather see the billionaires just pay what they owe in taxes. Exactly. And after they pay it, we can democratically move that money to where it needs to go. MCP says, Michael Rudnin to Eric Hayes, you love, I read that already. Carl Cox says, Trump should be put in maximum security prison where Madoff was and Rudolph is. Yes, he should. Cannon temporarily barred federal agents and prosecutors from viewing a batch of classified documents seized during the research. Her order was ultimately thrown out by federal courts of appeals, which found she overstepped. That woman they said that she may be the ones handling the case. She's going to have to be on a tight leash because she is a stooge for Trump. All right, let's see what else we have here. No audio or video. Anyone else with the same problem? I don't think so. Audio, video to find according to El Señor Rudden. And we have here, what else have I got here? Michael Rudden says Trump was showing off military info about Iran. Or at least that's the audio recordings. Egberto describing Trump as a child trying to show off is on point. Yeah, he's a child. It shows that he had a developmental problem when he was growing up. It's pretty evident now. Welcome aboard, Alistair Waters. Did I miss anybody while I'm scrolling through? E2247, welcome aboard. And of course, I think I got Melanie Keelan. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen. This is a short one. Let's listen to Jack Smith. Because Jack Smith just came on point and he just asked everybody to do one thing. And that is read the document. And just for those of you who are here, I didn't only prepare the document, I also put it on video so that folks that are on their phone can scroll through the indictment as well. And I have the link there on the screen. Everybody can see the indictment. You can see what kind of precedent we once had. But let's go ahead now and listen to El Señor Jack Smith.
Good afternoon. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida. And I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone. Applying those laws, collecting facts, that's what determines the outcome of an investigation. Nothing more and nothing less. The prosecutors in my office are among the most talented and experienced in the Department of Justice. They have investigated this case hewing to the highest ethical standards, and they will continue to do so as this case proceeds. It's very important for me to note that the defendants in this case must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. To that end, my office will seek a speedy trial in this matter, consistent with the public interest and the rights of the accused. We very much look forward to presenting our case to a jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida. In conclusion, I would like to thank the dedicated public servants of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, with whom my office is conducting this investigation and who work tirelessly every day upholding the rule of law in our country. I'm deeply proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Thank you very much.
Now, he was matter of fact, no hyperbole, and he goes ahead. Hey, Robert Davenport, I missed you, my brother. I missed you. How have you been? I don't think I've seen you in a few days, my friend. Great to have you here. Let's see. Is there anybody else I missed? I hate not calling out people when they're here. Anyhow, got it now. Carl Cox got his sound back. All right. We also have Robert Davenport saying, I kind of remember a guy who ran for president saying his opponent had mishandled government documents and they should lock her up. Who was that again? The person that we now need to lock up, and that is Donald J. Trump. And maybe it is time, in fact, for us to lock him up. All right, let's see what else. Pardon, in 2019, about 2016. All right, we also have Michael Ronan says, Bob Mueller also asked Americans to read in 2019, I think you mean, yeah. Then summarize the information they've gathered so that it's understood by all. It's a bad pattern by the FBI not to explain most clearly at every opportunity. I don't know if there's policy behind that or not. So I won't criticize them on that. Robert Davenport also says the billionaire class scrapes crumbs from their plates and want to be lionized for their actions. Nonsense. They have more than they are entitled to. Right. They didn't really earn it, my brother. They didn't really earn it. And anybody who thinks they earn it, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell to you. You know who earned it? All those ears that are listening to me, all those eyes that are watching me right now. You're the guys who make this country run. Let's not ever, ever, ever forget that. All right, I have a video to show. I did it this morning, but I finally got the authors of that piece that I did, speaking about the differences between the Democrats and Republicans and policies. So I'm going to play that video in a minute. Let's see, Egberto, each of the charges should have been explained by Jack Smith during his press briefing. It's a 49-page thing. Take a look at it. But I would have liked them to do different bullet points. But again, I don't know. Look, that's outside of my purview. So I'm not going to criticize the guy. I think he came out and he said that he asked the people. Well, I'm not going to criticize the guy. So let's go. Reading the charges would have taken too long. It's 48 pages. Yeah. Let me go ahead and play our video for the day. AC Rodriguez. Hola, señor. ¿Cómo estás? Es bien verte ahora mismo. Gracias por venir, hermano. Recuerda que trae más gente. Si consigo más gente que habla en español, voy a hacer el programa también en español. Ya lo estoy planeando. Okay, let's get busy with the video of the day. It's actually an interview with two other guys. Let's get busy. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Today we have a very special program to talk about. First of all, one of the things that I always talk about is the problem that Democrats have in creating a coherent narrative that explains the totality of the policies supported by the party. For some reason, it doesn't get done well. Well, let me tell you, Ted, one of the people. Before I get started, let's do it this way. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Colby Wright and Ted Weisgal, two solid Democrats in Harris County that have done a whole lot of work to present exactly what, in not their opinion, but what the data says about what Democrats bring to the table. Welcome aboard, Colby.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
And welcome aboard, Ted.
Thank you. It's not just what the Democrats bring to the table, it's what the Republicans bring as well.
Well, let's frame that later on, but I know exactly what you mean by that. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. Anyhow, so you created a document that you started doing a lot of research for, Colby, and you called it the foundation of our democracy. I think Ted played a very important role in in putting it in, making sure the data was good, but all this stuff was put together well. Why don't you tell me what was the genesis of you creating this document, Colby?
Okay. Ted and I met each other only a few months ago. We went to a volunteer event where there was a PAC that wanted to get feedback from volunteers in last year's election. So I spoke my grievances and Ted spoke his, and then we spoke with each other after the event and decided that something's wrong in the messaging and something's wrong in the approach. So I said, well, we just need to really look at the data, because there's no better way to prove that Democrats have effective policies than the outcomes. So we got together and we analyzed the results of the 2020 presidential election and the 2020 census, and crunched some numbers to figure out where the obvious differences are in policies and outcomes.
Now, Ted, you've been working within the Democratic Party for a long time. You've been complaining within the Democratic Party for a very long time as far as creating structures that can actually reach the people. Were you satisfied, first of all, with the result of this joint effort between you and Colby?
Well, it's a work in progress, but so far it's been phenomenal. The response we've gotten
from
people. We are using this document. We've printed 1,100 copies of an 8-page document, and this Saturday we are going to be distributing it throughout the Houston area, starting in the Montrose, and we're hopefully going to get people on board to help us with this effort, as well as our primary goal, which is to convince people that the Democrats have better policies than the Republicans do.
I noticed you said to convince them. I was on a radio show a couple of days ago on my show, Politics Done Right. And one of we get right-wing callers, and one of the right-wing callers said, you shouldn't have to try to convince me of anything. It's not about convincing me. It's about proving to me. And Colby, I think what those numbers did was exactly that. So why don't we go through some of what you found in your research with regards to Democratic policy and Republican policy?
Okay. Our first page of data focuses on the economy, and we have it broken down into 3 charts. The first one is gross domestic product per capita. So, how much each person in those states on average is bringing to the table. And we found that the average GDP is $8,900 higher in Democratic states than in Republican states, which is a 13.2% difference.
Now, that is interesting, because that actually, there's something that you said initially, and you said outcomes. If you really want to study policy, what you should study is outcome over time. And I think you've also found that this isn't something new. In other words, this isn't just for 1 year. This is over several years, right?
Well, the data that we pulled for this is a snapshot of 2020. I found the timing of the election and the timing of the census to be pretty good for number crunching.
Right.
But I'm sure this is consistent, though, over time. It'd be interesting to look at that.
Yeah, and actually, I asked that question knowing the answer, and that is this has been consistent over from the time I started looking at it, since Reaganomics. What we've had is whenever we instituted policies from the right, we got a decline in income, we got a decline in a whole lot of different things, and whenever we instituted these other policies that came about, what else did you find?
We also found that the poverty rate is higher in Republican states than Democratic states. So Democratic states have an average of 10.9% poverty rate, and Republican states have a 12.9%. So doing the math, it's 18.3% higher in Republican states than in Democratic states.
And what that tells you, go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, you mentioned Reaganomics, and one of the things that might illustrate.
Please keep your face in the middle of the screen, Ted. Yeah.
One of the things that might illustrate Reaganomics was the cost of college tuition. It's not in this document, but for your listeners, when I was in college in California as a freshman and sophomore at a community college, my tuition was $6.50 a semester. When Reagan came into power, I think one of his goals was to get people to go through college quickly. They didn't want people getting involved in anti-Vietnam War protests and other things like that. And as a result, the tuition fee just went through the roof. This was done under Ronald Reagan, and it has been continued under the Republican Party. And I guess the Democrats have had to suffer with it as well, even though Biden right now is trying to give college students relief from their student debt. But back then, the Republicans really laid it on the college students, and it's been horrible ever since. That's part of the economy and the kinds of things that we want to illustrate.
You know, and that is a very good point. When I came to the United States, and I paid $40 a semester hour as a foreign student. Then when I became naturalized, I paid or got my residency, I paid $4 a semester hour to go to school. My daughter went to the same university that I went to, and her cost was over 10 times what my cost was. So, I mean, that tells you something about what the Reaganomics and these types of right-wing policies have brought forth to us. In other words, moved the monies across from the burden across from the corporations to the people. You found out something about dependency score, and I think that is actually very. I think that needs to be harped on, because many times Republican politicians would like to tell folks they're independent, would like to tell folks they want small government, but everything that they do is completely anathema to that reality. Go ahead and tell me about that.
Okay, yeah, the federal dependency score. So this was a number crunched by somebody else, Wallet Hub. I sourced them. So what the federal dependency score is it's an equation that looks at how much a state gives in taxes to the federal government versus how much they receive from the federal government through funding, jobs, and it just compares how much they give versus how much they take. And on average, the Democratic states are the givers and the Republican states are the takers. We found that of the 25 states most dependent on the federal government, 16 of those were Republican. And the average federal dependency score is 42% higher in Republican states than in Democratic states.
Now, so that isn't even within the error, what do you call it? The error rate. In other words,
the margin of error.
The margin of error. It's not even within the margin of error, and that is what's so disingenuous about what Republican politicians push. Oh, we believe in small government. Oh, we don't want the government to do X, Y, Z. But suddenly it turns out that their people are more dependent on the government, and specifically blue states, than anyone else. You found out things like you did some research on insurance rates and life expectancy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. For healthcare, we learned that Texas is dead last when it comes to people being insured. 18% of Texans are uninsured. So that means our insured rate is 82%. Democrats on average, their states were 93.6% average, making Texas look so embarrassing. And Republican states were slightly worse than Democrat, 90%. But, it makes me wonder if Texas was not part of the equation, would Republican states look a little bit more like Democratic states?
It is amazing, isn't it?
Right. We are really dragging them down. And then life expectancy, when you look at them side by side, the average life expectancy in a Democratic state is 77.7 years and a Republican state 75.5, which that's only a 2-year difference. That's not a huge difference. But when you set an arbitrary number such as 77 years old, and you find that 81% of states with a life expectancy above 77 vote Democrat, and 69% of states with a life expectancy below 77 voted Republican.
I think 2 years is a lot of time. It's a lot of years. I don't know, but maybe because you're young, you're very young, that doesn't seem. But an extra 2 years is a lot. You can see your grandkids. You can do a whole lot with those other 2 years. You were about to say something, Ted.
We didn't sensationalize. Try to say that word 3 times. We didn't want to sensationalize this, but it's a death sentence. We're telling people that if you live in a Republican state, you are going to die about 2 years and 2 months sooner than if you live in a Democratic state. That's horrible. That's what I want to say.
I'd like to push back on you. When you said you don't want to now you have me not being able to say the word. You don't want to sensationalize, whatever. You don't want to do that. Hey, Colby, help me here. How do you say the word?
Sensationalize.
Sensationalize. You don't want to sensationalize the issue. I think I was going to talk about this a little bit later because I love this document so much. I wrote a little blog piece about it. And what I said about the document is the one thing that this document is going to need going further is how to create the narrative to touch the people who you want to touch. And exactly what you said there, Ted, is something that I think needs to be done. I think it needs to be said that, let's give an example here in Texas. We, even after this session, when there are people dying in Texas, we decided not to accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act yet again, which puts over several hundred Texans now will die because they don't have health care. Sensationalizing it, I think it's now apropos that is done so that it can actually touch people. What else did you find, Colby?
One more statistic related to healthcare was the teen birth rate, where Texas kind of stands out. We rank 41st out of 50, which is not something you want to brag about, with 20.3 teen births per 100,000 people. Meanwhile, the average Democratic state has almost half that at 10.6 teen births per 100,000 people. And then Republican states on average are still pretty high, though, 17.9, which is much closer to Texas's number. So it is the teen birth rate is 69% higher in Republican states than in Democratic states.
So wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me, Colby, that the states that like to prove that they're more moral, the states that like to prove that, they believe in, maybe the sanctity of marriage and all these things, that somehow the blue evil states are doing almost twice as good? Are you really saying that?
Well, look at Lauren Boebert, 36-year-old grandmother who's now divorced. Family values. I don't know. I don't like to cast too many stones, but yes, I got to say that it seems very hypocritical on their part to say that they are pro-life when the life expectancy is shorter and the teen birth rate is so high. And we know that Republicans in general don't favor programs to assist those young mothers.
Now let's talk a little bit about. Yes, sir.
At the bottom of each of these boxes, there are Democratic and Republican policies. And in the teen birth rate example, one of the policies of the Democrats is to expand access to contraception and reinstate the right to an abortion. The Republican box does not say that. I think we know that they don't want that to happen. I'm not sure why we didn't say abolish the right to an abortion. Colby, do you know why we didn't put that in the box? And we are talking about making some modifications in this, since we're hoping to print 100,000 of these, but we have only had money to print 1,100 so far.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to I think we didn't put abortion in there because when we were putting bullet points, we were taking these bullet points directly out of the GOP platform document. And while abortion may have been mentioned in there, we only had so much space on here. Now, we did mention that they want to abolish public school programs that expand reproductive health care, and they want to abolish all welfare programs. So, they basically, it sounds like they want to flood the world with neglected children who don't have welfare. Right?
I think that is exactly the narrative right there, Colby, because you remember what you said in the beginning. It's all about outcomes, and that's the outcome that we get, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's by design, unfortunately.
Okay, now let me just say that we're running a bit on time right now, so I needed to ask you to run through the other numbers, and then I want Ted to then close us out with some very important information. So tell us a little bit about immigration, a little bit about incarceration, and that sort of stuff that you have in the document. And by the way, folks, we will have this document along with the blog post of this program. Go ahead, Colby.
Okay, yeah, so I'll kind of just breeze through the rest of it here. With criminal justice, the incarceration rate, we found it's 56% higher in Republican states than Democratic states. And Texas ranks 44th with 443 inmates per 100,000 people.
And some people may like that, sadly.
Yeah. Again, by design. I touched on hate crimes. Now, there's not a left and right comparison here, but I did just touch on the fact that reported hate crimes have increased 32% from 2020 to 2021, which is a disturbing number. With immigration, again, there's not really census data to really, I didn't have any census data to go with this, but I did say how Governor Abbott wasted billions of dollars on failed border policies that didn't turn up a single arrest, while wasting lots in wasted materials. And also Trump's family separation policy, the kids in cages, removed 4,000 children from their families without records. And the Biden administration reunification task force has reunited 3,000 children with their families, and they're working on the remaining 1,000. Let's see here. Foreign policy, basically the trade war with China that Trump started cost us, the U.S. taxpayers, $80 billion. Regarding education, we have graduation.
Let me stop you 1 second there, because I don't want you to gloss over one thing there.
Okay.
Remember, there were tariffs instituted, and Trump tried to fool his people into believing that somehow tariffs are paid by the companies who are being tariffed. In other words, the Chinese companies, etc. It was another tax on the American citizens. Just want to clarify that.
Yes, it was
Let me also
go ahead.
Let me point out, under foreign policy, the Democratic policy, as most people probably know, is to restore U.S. leadership in international institutions such as the United Nations, the the Republicans want to withdraw from the United Nations. That's the kind of stuff that people will see when they look at this document. And those that have so far almost universally say this is interesting, which is one of our primary goals. It is really interesting.
Okay, finish up for me on the gun policy, drug policy, and elections.
All right. So, gun violence is a big one. So, a lot of people like to use Chicago as an example of a city that's overrun with gun violence, and that's just a falsehood. That may have been true at another point in time, but the gun death rate is 62% higher in Republican states than it is in Democratic states. And the number one city for gun violence was Memphis, Tennessee. And okay, for election turnout, this is sad for Texas. We are ranked 44th in turnout with 60.2% voter turnout. Democratic states on average have 70%. So the nice thing is Texas has room to improve.
Exactly. And that improvement generally comes from where again?
Where? I don't know. Hopefully the young people. I don't know. Young
people, etc., which are people who want more progressive values. Yes.
I think that's what we're trying to do. Is we're just trying to encourage more people to go out there and do it. With energy, there's not really a comparison on the census for energy, but we did mention the cost of the grid failure that we had, and we outlined some Democratic policies and Republican policies.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, because we're coming down on time now, and what I'd like to do is ask Ted to summarize what do you intend to do with this document? How are you going to get some help with narrative? I mean, the document is absolute. The numbers are absolute. Now, what has to go with a document like this is a narrative. In other words, the people that are going to go out there and really inform not a whole bunch of Democrats, but a whole bunch of people, so that they can decide what they want, if whose policies they really want. What's the plan? Ted.
I don't want to overlook at the very beginning of this document, we put in writing the preamble to the U.S. Constitution so people understand the fundamental reason this country exists. And in the preamble, one of the key phrases is promote the general welfare. I think the Democrats want to do that. The Republicans are oblivious to it. But what we plan to do is we are going to be going where people are, whether it's public events like Miller Outdoor Theater or restaurants, movie theater lines. Well, that's not the case any longer, but maybe Jones Hall, and just where people congregate, and college campuses for sure, probably high school campuses as well. And we are going to give these to people because we have found out that people who read this or even just begin reading it find it fascinating. We include the party platforms of both the Democrats, which is shorter, and the Republican, which is longer. But it says in the Republican platform, and we print this, we recognize that human nature is immutable. Immutable means it cannot change. That's what the Republicans think. I don't agree. I don't think Colby agrees with that. And we want people to understand that we think we can advance change just by putting these two different perspectives on a sheet of paper or 8 sheets of paper. We ran this by the chair of the Harris County Democratic Party, and initially he said, we'll just create a 2-sheet document, front and back. We tried to do that, and we said, it really doesn't work. So we ended up with this 8-page document, and when we showed it to him, he said, you're right, let's run with this thing. And so we are.
Very good job. Colby, give me a closer.
If you get to the end of the document, It says, in order to make a better Texas, vote Democratic. So get involved. You can volunteer, you can donate. There's more than one way to donate. And if you get involved, there's lots of clubs all over Harris County, so people can find their local Democrats and find their neighbors that they have something in common with.
Well, let me just tell you guys, when I saw this document, I didn't see this document as more than a democratic document. I saw this document as a humane people's document, what people need to do if they want to move forward in their lives. I think the amount of work that both of you have put into this is a service not only to Harris County, not only to Texas, but to the entire country. So this document, as far as I'm concerned, is not a document solely for Texas. It's a national document. And I think you guys have done an excellent job of putting this together. And I will do myself my utmost best to get this out there as well, of course, with your directions. Thank you so kindly for having appeared on Politics Done Right. This is very important work. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Alberto. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much.
Anyhow, I have it on the screen right now. I wrote another blog for it. I think I'd written a quick one last time. Well, this one now has that interview right here, as well as the entire blog with all the data in it. If you notice how I placed it inside of the window on the screen, you guys can take a look at that. You can also, I think I have it set up that you can download it. I think you can. You can download. I think you can download it. If not, I'll have to find a way to enable that for reading the document. It's an excellent document. These guys put a lot of work into it, and I think it's something that we can share. Okay, let's see. Anyhow, folks, let's see what you've been saying. Para ver. Oops, I got to scroll up. Oh my God. Let's see. Robert Davenport says, facts always favor the policies of the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. People will find outcomes of Democratic policies more in their interest. They dislike the descriptions Republicans attach to Democratic policies, even though those descriptions are not accurate. Lies repeated are indistinguishable from truth often. That is so true. All right, let's see. Michael Rodden says, well, that's a reply. Rodden said, what does pro-life really mean? Forcing women to go to term, then cutting them off from any support. Why? To punish premarital sex? Yeah. I can't see this as anything good. Again, it's sloganeering. Oh, AC Rodriguez, you asked me what got me to change my mind about basic income. Actually, I am in favor of universal basic income. I am in favor of that. Did you see somewhere where I said I changed my mind, not supporting it? Or are you saying that I now support it where I looked at it suspiciously before? I'm not sure with that one. All right, let's see. Carl Cox says many conservatives, MAGA ones in particular, favor thugs like Putin. Explains why they love scum. Okay. AVQ says broken moral encompasses. Trump has a pattern of brazen lawlessness, of giving them permissions to be their worst selves, and they like that. That's not a good thing, of course. Let's see. Rodriguez says that's an awesome chart. I've always said if you can survive one or more on more than $10 million, you don't deserve your wealth. The cocaine and escorts really messed up your part. That's a good one. All right, let's see what else we got here. Vidij MCP said, Robert D., you posted a chart. Love this, is what Paul Fleming says. What else have we got here? E2247 says, a year in hate and extremism. 2022 tracked 1,225 hate and extremist groups in 2022. Hate has no place in our country. Add your name to help us fight hate. Yes, sir. All right, what else have we got here? Egberto, no, the PDF isn't downloadable. Having to click 8 times to read the pages is really bad format for viewing information on the internet. Actually, the link that I have there is the reader that I have there is a standard way that you notice PDFs are delivered on websites. Now, it would be good for me to set it up to download. That I'll do. But as far as that is a way to keep you from having to scroll through, or rather not scroll through. That is the way to give a presence of a PDF on a page. Otherwise, you have to go ahead and turn it into HTML and so forth. I wanted to give your documents unchanged. AC Rodriguez says, I caught the tail end of one of your shows, and you might have mentioned that you changed your views about UBI. It's possible I got that wrong. No, what I did change is, I've always been suspicious about, I needed to have the answer as to if I give somebody money, why work, right? And I think I've said in that thing that experiments have been done. When I went to Netroots, 2 different groups came and interviewed with me about UBI, and they all had practical experiments where they gave people the money. And in fact, Houston is going to do that now as well, where they actually gave people the money. And what the people did is it made their lives better. It made them more able to work. It also made them more able to increase or improve their situation by going to school or other things like that. So that's where I'm at. All right. Micah says, Egberto, have 8 pages set size to fit to page. One after the next on a vertical scroll bar is better. Trust me, as a MAGA reader, this is the preferred format. As a manga reader, what is a manga reader? Tell me what a manga reader is. I am not sure I know what it is. Tom C. has a limerick that I must read. A man with a fake tan from Florida thinks he's a perfect without a flaw. A riot he incited, now twice indicted. Even an ex-president is not above the law. I like that, but I said I have to read it with a little bit more cool. So let's do it again. A man with a fake tan from Florida thinks he's perfect without a flaw. A riot he incited, now twice indicted. Even an ex-pres is not above the law. I like that. You are so good, Tom. You are so good. AC Rodriguez says, awesome. I thought I was going to have to pull you back from the other side there for a minute. No, you don't. No, you don't. I am as progressive as one gets. Eric Hayes says, Gilberto, how many billionaires are there and how much you want them to pay? Don't say fair freaking share quantify your position does. No, I'll just give an answer that'll answer it all. No billionaire on this planet earned $1 billion. None. No billionaire on this planet earned $1 billion. That $1 billion came off the work of others. They didn't earn it. And if you continue to believe that they earn it, you deserve to be the slave that you are. The only way we are going to make progress, is if we do not allow a select few the ability to con us all. That's my statement, sir. Manga Reader is an ad-free manga site that allows users to read the download thousands of manga for free. Okay, thank you for showing me that, Bridge. I'm going to check it out. Let's see. Religious fundamentalists hate intelligent people. They love cheer ignorance. That's true. Ignorance, again, that's what fascists like. Fascists love ignorant people. Anyhow, we're coming close to the end, and yesterday I didn't do my ask. So today I am going to do my ask. The first ask is, of course, going to be to say, folks, please, or am I going to get any more support for our trip to Chicago? Netroots Nation 2023. Maybe I need to tell folks what they get if they support us. Let's go ahead and talk about what you get if you support us. If you support our trip to, where is it? I just brought it up and it disappeared. I brought it up and it disappeared. I think I brought it up and it disappeared. Let's do it one more time. Bring it up. It won't disappear now. Oh, it didn't disappear. I just had the wrong field on it. All right, there we go. Sponsor Politics Done Right at Netroots Nation 2023 in Chicago. Politics Done Right, PDR, is attending Netroots Nation 2023 in Chicago on July 13th. Over 3,000 progressive bloggers, journalists, activists, and politicians meet yearly to discuss strategies to win elections and promote progressive messages. PDR is again on the coveted Radio Row, which means we are going to be around all the big shots we'll be able to interview. So then we are going to, remember, I was the first one, no kidding. I was the first one who told Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that she was going to win. I will interview 25 to 50 politician activists and progressive thinkers. We break national news yearly at Netroots Nation, and we'll be doing some live broadcasts as well. Your sponsorship covers upgraded podcast equipment, mics, etc., airfare, hotel, transportation, and incidentals. Every higher donation level gets all the previous levels as well. All donors will have their names, unless anonymous, listed in the credit section of every video interview in the YouTube description of the video as supporter producers and listed on a special Netroots Nation 2023 page at politicsdoneright.com. And again, you'll be shown as producer sponsor of the videos at the end of every video. Anybody who gives $100 or more, donors may choose to have us create a full internet searchable page at politicsdoneright.com. Of course, that is subject to us making sure you don't have any porn and that kind of stuff on the page, right? And anybody who gives $200 or more, they also get an embroidered polo with Politics Done Right. And of course, you also get a bumper sticker, Politics Done Right bumper sticker to go with it as well. And the first 20 donors get a copy of It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors, and also the Politics Done Right bumper sticker. So folks, consider supporting it. Go to it's right there. I put the link in the feed already, and Bridge also did it. We cannot do this without you. But in addition to supporting us that is specific to Netroots Nation. But you can find many ways to support us, not only through supporting our trip, but in general. And how do you do that? You go to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. I thank you so kindly for being here. I thank you so kindly for being here. I thank you so kindly for sharing, distributing what we produce. Again, my name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.